Hey listener, welcome back to my channel. Let's continue the next chapter of Till the Last Breath by Durjoy Datta. Chapter 6, Pihu Malhotra. Pihu looked around the room she had grown up in, the room on whose walls she had always imagined she would hang her diplomas and degrees. She looked at the photo frames with pictures of her as a toddler, the bedsheets and the tomes of books she had so lovingly arranged. She wondered if she would get to read even a third of them. She was distraught. For all the times she had craved to be in a medical school, she got only 3 months. It had been 9 months since then. The loss of sensation meant she had to drop out of medical school as soon as four other hospitals, one in Delhi, two in Bangalore, and one in Mumbai, gave the same verdict, each one with more finality than the last. Her disease had progressed faster than anyone had anticipated. Within 2 months of detection, she had trouble walking without crutches. Soon, eating had become a problem and she couldn't chew for very long. 15 minutes of activity made her breathless and tired. Her muscles were slowly losing their strength and integrity. The paralysis slowly set in. Life for her became a constant battle for survival. To see the next morning, to see her parents around her, to hold their hands and recount memories till it felt like she had lived them twice. It became a constant struggle to forget what was coming for her. She had committed herself to her impending death sentence. She had just a few excruciating months to live. All this while, she made sure she sent across a mail every day to the young doctor who was a part of the research team looking for a cure for ALS in New Delhi. Sometimes it was about the pain of being an ALS patient. On other occasions, it was something interesting she had read in a medical book. His mailbox had become like a personal online blog come punching bag come stress ball for her. She knew for sure that he must have marked her mails as spam after the third one, but she kept sending them. Pihu Malhotra, P underscore Malhotra 198 at the rate gmail.com to Dr. Arman Kashyap at the rate gkl.co.in. Hi Dr. Arman, my mom still hasn't stopped crying. She tries not to cry in front of me, but she doesn't make it. Dad is a lot better. I got myself checked again. 6 months, they say, give or take a few months. I can't walk for very long. Regards, Pihu Malhotra. Pihu Malhotra, P underscore Malhotra 198 at the rate gmail.com to Dr. Arman Kashyap at the rate gkl.co.in. Hi Dr. Arman, sorry to disturb you again, but I am crying. For the past 2 days, I haven't been able to sleep. I think of all the bad things that are going to happen to me. Why? Why me? I didn't do anything wrong to anyone. Neither did my parents. I just. I'm sorry. Regards, Pihu Malhotra. Pihu Malhotra, P underscore Malhotra 198 at the rate gmail.com to Dr. Arman Kashyap at the rate gkl.co.in. Hi Dr. Arman. I finished the book on cancer diagnosis. It's very nice. Wish I was in the lab and could see the carcinomas myself. I envy my classmates. They must be having so much fun. I wonder how Venugopal is doing and whether he still misses me. And I hope he has made good friends there. I wish I was there. I am sorry to disturb you again. I'm sorry. Regards, Pihu Malhotra. Pihu Malhotra, P underscore Malhotra 198 at the rate gmail.com to Dr. Arman Kashyap at the rate gkl.co.in. Hi Dr. Arman, I can't walk anymore. I see a shining new wheelchair in the corner of the room. I don't want to use it. I want to stay in bed. I am scared. I also choked on my food once. People say I am dying. They tell me time is running out. Why doesn't it feel so? Why does it feel that time has slowed down? Every moment lingers like it will never pass. It feels like death is moving away from me and I am running to get there soon. The sooner it comes, the better. I just want to be put out of my misery. Is a dead daughter better than a dying daughter? I am sorry. Regards, Pihu Malhotra. The mails never stopped. It was like a vent for her frustration and her growing anger. 4 months after the first email, she received a mail from Dr. Arman Kashyap, GKL Hospital. She jumped at the sight of it and had wondered later why she had done so. Arman Kashyap was a handsome man, tall, fair, and with rimless spectacles that made him look very intelligent. But the short cropped hair made him look like a badass, and he struck out like a sore thumb in the group photograph of all the doctors at GKL Hospital. There was no formal introduction, no asking how she was or even who she was. Instead, there were a set of questions he wanted her to answer. She had answered them to the best of her ability, like she would do as a student. Along with her answers, she attached a report on what she thought about the various researches that had been done on ALS. She wondered if she was being a smartass, but then thought she had too little time to care. To her surprise, Arman had replied almost immediately. The language of all the mail suggested he was impressed, but it was cleverly concealed. It was late in the night, and Pihu typed out a long mail. It took her 4 hours to type it, one slow, clumsy letter at a time. She had to take breaks because it was hard for her to sit up straight for that long. She didn't forget to mention that in the mail. Minutes after she had hit the send button, exhausted, she crawled to her bed and drifted off. The next morning, the first thing she did was to log into Gmail and refresh it till her fingers hurt. Inbox 1. The mail contained just one line. It was a link to a website, and beneath it was a combination of letters, numbers, and special characters. She clicked on the link, which took her to a Zilausi protected website, and punched in the combination in the field that asked for a password. The website opened up like a horse leg on a payday and lay open a world of information on her disease. In the next few hours, she had devoured whatever she could find on the website. What really grabbed her attention were the clinical trials GKL Hospital was carrying out on ALS patients. They were only moderately successful. Just as she was reading through it, she received another mail that explained how she was ineligible for it. Dr. Arman Kashyap at gkl.co.in to Pihu Malhotra, P_Malhotra 198 at gmail.com. I am sure you have gone through the clinical trial reports. Unfortunately, you are not eligible for it. Section 5, Para 6. I apologize. Regards, Dr. Arman Kashyap. Pihu looked for Section 5. Her face dropped. Since it was a disease which only inflicted older people, clinical trial permissions had not been granted for anyone below the age of 30. She had slumped in her chair and switched off the computer. She was tired. For the next 2 months, she hadn't sent a single mail to the doctor in GKL hospital, and she didn't receive any. Her condition had been worsening steadily, her spirit and body slowly dying. She and her parents had braced themselves for the inevitable. She was going to die. Her parents were going to cry and lament for the rest of their lives. There was nothing that could have changed that. She was in a wheelchair. Only liquids were allowed. Chewing food was out of the question. There were times she had tried to eat solid food and had choked on it as the muscles in her foot pipe gave way. One day, when her suffering had reached a peak, she sent a mail to Arman, updating him about her pitiable condition. She wanted it to be a long mail, but her body gave up within half an hour. Pihu Malhotra, P_Malhotra198 @gmail.com to Dr. Arman Kashyap, armankashyap@gkl.co.in. Hi Dr. Arman. This could be my last mail to you or to anyone. The disease has progressed to its last stage. It took me 20 minutes to type this. I am constantly exhausted. It's like a big boulder is crushing my lungs, snuffing the life out of me. I need assistance for everything now. I can't even clean myself after going to the washroom. I'm sure you know what happens. My parents are being brave. They don't cry in front of me. I spend my hours sleeping or smiling at my relatives. They know I am dying too. It's a strange feeling. I am scared at times. Sometimes I think about how I am going to die. Will my lungs collapse or my heart? And then I am relieved at times. It's going to be over. I asked my father to read me my books from medical school. Maybe I will be a doctor in some other life, if there is anything like that. I just want to thank you for replying to my mails and showing me your research website. It meant a lot. Thank you. I need to go now. Best of luck. Regards, Pihu Malhotra. From what she had learned about the disease, she knew she didn't have more than 3 months to live. Some doctors gave her even less. The fear in her parents' eyes multiplied every day, their grief slowly becoming unbearable for them. During those days, her relatives and cousins had started to drop in to see her for the last time. Pihu, confined to her bed, would smile at them and cry when she would be alone. For the most part of the day, she would sleep. Her body, whatever was left of it, was constantly tired and exhausted. She began to get bed sores. Her mom would spend hours shifting and rolling her on the bed to prevent the infection from the bed sores from spreading. They only became worse. She would stay up and cough for hours on end. Saliva drooled from her mouth, but she couldn't bring a hand up to wipe it. Day after day, she would spend all her time lying on the bed, staring at the ceiling as her father read to her from medical books and journals. She could only talk in mumbles. Her tongue had become weak too. She was trapped in her dying body, waiting for death to come. Her father clicked pictures of her every day, trying to capture his daughter for the last few times. Visiting doctors always left the home with their heads hung low. They knew the next time they could find her dead. A few days after she sent her last mail, a package arrived at the front door with Pihu's name on it. Her father opened the box gingerly. The contents were wrapped very carefully in bubble wrap. There was a spiral bound file of papers and a box with syringes, bottles of colored liquids, and capsules. What's this? Her father asked as he sifted through the contents. She took her head and looked at the letter that lay with everything on the bed. Her dad read the letter, which stated in clear, simple words that these were the medications they were trying out on the clinical trial patients at GKL hospital. The handwriting was lucid, not like a doctor's. Dear Pihu, follow the instructions as written in the file. Keep it to yourself and your family. Don't get doctors involved. The drug have a reasonable success rate at our hospital. They stall symptoms in some cases. They reverse the effect in others. Think before you decide. Don't hold me liable. Regards. Her father looked at her for an explanation and she told him about the mails and the website. She asked her dad to read the file that had all the details about the progress of the patients the medicines had been tried on. They spent the whole night reading through every case, every patient, and every dosage that she had to take. Whether she should take the medication or not was a no brainer. She was dying. She had just 3 months to live, give or take a few weeks. A 20% chance of living was an infinitely better option than to continue living like the undead for the next few months, and then, in any case, die. She made her father learn how to use the syringes. After a few times of puncturing his own veins, he got the hang of it. From the next day, she was on the medication. For the first few times, his fingers trembled every time he had to pierce Pihu's flesh, and then it became easier. Slowly, things changed. 2 months later, she mailed the doctor again. Pihu Malhotra, Pihu_Malhotra 198 @gmail.com. To Dr. Arman Kashyap, Arman Kashyap @gkl.co.in. Hi Dr. Arman, I am better. It is working. For the first time, I took solid food. Thank you. Regards, Pihu Malhotra. With the mail, she attached a report she and her father had maintained for tracking her progress. The experimental drugs were working on her. She wasn't coughing relentlessly anymore and had regained some of her strength. She could sit up and read on her own. The sensation in her hands was coming back, though they were still far from being perfect. Her parents were happy they were getting their daughter back. But things weren't as rosy as they seemed to be. A month later, Dr. Arman asked her father to get her admitted to the hospital. The symptoms had shown relapse in case of many patients in the clinical trials. End of chapter 6.